All right, we'll go ahead and call the Public Safety Committee to order, and I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of last month.
So move.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, first on the agenda tonight, I'm gonna move, the sheriff's department up to first, then we'll go to drug court.
Thank you. And sorry to print you.
It's not gonna be as long as normal.
Really, we have nothing tonight other than just our normal monthly report, so I would entertain any questions anybody's got.
Everybody have a chance to look over it, and is there any questions?
Just one quick
Yes, sir.
question, you can probably answer it really quick. I think it's 451, which is uniforms.
Yes, sir.
$150,000 set aside, and we've spent $137,000, which is
Yes, sir.
92% of that buying new uniforms.
Mhm.
I think there was a question asked a while back about donating the used uniforms to other county departments, like.
Right.
And I understand that that hasn't taken place, and I want to know why.
Okay, I'll ask and find out. I know that normally they try to, they don't issue new uniforms unless, they don't issue new uniforms to somebody unless the old ones are worn out, and then they give the guy a new set of uniforms. Or if somebody leaves, they'll take the unused uniforms, and if we've switched out to a new style or whatever, then they'll have those uniforms left over. But I'd be glad to find out.
The idea was to.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Save
Oh,
the
yeah.
county money
I agree.
and
Yeah.
actually.
And we may have them sitting, piled up in a box, ready to donate, just haven't done it yet.
Well, that question was asked to me at the county commission meeting, and I asked the sheriff that night, and he says that they're supposed to be in the process of getting them to that department.
Mhm.
To get the uniforms to them, from what he told me at the full county commission meeting, last month.
Last month, okay.
I'd
I can
like-
check with Steve Spence on the
I'd
equipment
like
and
an
get you an answer on that.
update
Yeah.
and an explanation,
Sure.
at least by next month, if you don't mind.
No problem, yeah. Anything else?
Anybody else? If there's no questions on the report, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Other than that, I've given you our commendation letters for the month, and that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for letting me go first.
All right. Drug court.
Well, you've got my report, it's pretty standard. Our numbers are still very low, which continues to cause us concern, but I checked today on our applications, and we have 25 applications waiting to be processed. We're just waiting on background checks, which we get from the district attorney's office. So I'm not sure what the holdup is, and I'll have to follow through with that, but we need to be getting people in for sure, and we need to be processing these applications just as quickly as possible, so. That's all I have on the numbers report. On the narrative report, if I hadn't already told you, which I guess this is the January meeting, so I couldn't have told you. Well, maybe I told you in the December meeting, I'm not sure, but anyway, the conference went extremely well, and we were very pleased with it. I can't remember if I told you or not. I'm 60 years old, I can't help it.
You're just a youngster.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh. But we do have the next date for graduation, and of course you will all be invited officially, but it is March 20th. If you want to go ahead and get that on your calendars, we would love to have you be there. So, and that's all I've got.
Any questions?
What does LAPSW stand for?
You've asked me that
I
before, but
know,
I'll tell you again.
But I'm older than you, see, so I gotta.
Licensed Advanced Practice Social Worker.
Okay.
Yeah, that means I've been around a long time.
If there's no other questions, I entertain a motion on the report.
Motion to approve the report.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Anything
Thank
else?
you so much.
Thank
No,
you.
that is it.
Next is the pause report. How are you doing now? Go right ahead.
For the month of December, we had 534 animals that came into the shelter. 33.9% of those animals came from the county jurisdictions, 13.5% came from the city of Laverne, 31.7% came from the city of Murfreesboro, and 20.9% came from the town of Smyrna. We had 164 animals that were adopted during the month, 135 animals that were reclaimed by their owner, and 197 animals that were humanely euthanized. That gives us a total out of our animals of 517, with an adoption reclaim percentage of 57.8% and a euthanasia percentage of 38.1%. When you take into the animals, wildlife or animals that were transferred and whatnot, it gave us a live release rate of 60.7% for the month, and 96 of the animals of that 135 were reclaimed through our PITSNP or our CATSNP surgery programs. Before I go on the CATSNP program, we still have around 600 surgeries remaining. I have 45 days to get as many of those done, and PetSmart's gonna close the grant off. So we're gonna have to refund them back some money. So if folks are in the Smyrna and Laverne zones, please push them. I mean, I hate giving money back and leaving surgeries on the table. I know there's more than 1,000 cats in Smyrna and Laverne that need to be spayed or neutered.
Is there any other way we can get that word out?
We have, the grant included money for publicity. We've done it on all the TV stations. We even paid to put it in every utility bill. We paid to have the flyers printed and have those stuffed in every utility bill. On the PITSNP side of it, we sent it out. It was open to the entire county. We sent over 40,000 flyers to every student in Rutherford County, and we never even saw an uptick in our calls.
I'm wondering if maybe Larry Flowers at Channel 4 or Channel 5 or Channel 2 or
Okay.
Fox 17, get
We can
somebody,
sure try it.
you know, to try it that way. I mean,
I hate the fact that I know there's more than 400 cats in Smyrna and Laverne that need to be altered, and we're gonna leave those on the table.
right, I'm
But
like you.
I'd be more than happy to contact him.
It might be something that generate a lot of, you know, traffic that way.
Okay.
You
I'll
said,
sure-
you
I'll
said
sure
you
try.
put them on the local stations, the Channel 3s in Smyrna.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yeah, and then, like I said, all the utility bills, well, I say utility bills, all the Middle Tennessee Electric utility bills. And that was, I think 25,000 folks just for those,
Right.
bills, just for those areas.
Most of the ones in Laverne are NES.
Those
Did not know
people,
that.
those people that probably seeing their light bills right now are probably in shock to not be
And
looking.
Well, they went out before the cold snap hit.
Oh,
They,
did they?
they went out in November.
Okay.
They went out in November, yes, sir. At the end of December, we had 133 animals that remained in the shelter. We had 1,846 people visit the shelter looking for a lost or new pet, and 2,051 log calls and voicemails for the month. We had 1,257 calls that were received and 1,259 calls that were completed. You can see the breakdown of those by jurisdictions as well. And then we traveled 9,478 miles for the month. Year to date, we've taken in 4,421 animals. Our adoption reclaim percentage is 36.1% for the year and a 54.4% euthanasia rate. When you figure in the live release rate, like I talked about, wildlife and whatnot, 43.3% of the animals went back out the front door. We had a little over 10,000 folks that had visited the shelter, and we had 12,699 calls and voicemails. For the year, we've had 8,825 calls that were received and 8,852 calls that were completed, and we've traveled 67,160 miles. We did receive our new truck today as well. It'd be probably a week or so before we get it in service, but it is on Paul's property as of this afternoon. For December, we handled 16 bites. One of those was tested and came back as negative, and we handled 2 other exposures. One of those animals were tested and came back as negative as well. So it's been a couple months since we've had a positive, and that's how we like that.
Any questions on his report? If there's not, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
I do have one quick thing. The training that we have in March, that we're having on March the 7th, we just found out last week, and this might apply to you. We were approved for continuing legal education credits for 6 hours, $15. So we really want to try to push the legal folks, district attorneys, judges, whoever would like to come from the judicial system to really make a point to come. That's a heck of a deal for 6 continuing legal education credits. So please help us pass the word on that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Next, the ambulance service reports. Mike? How are you doing tonight, Mike?
Good, how are you?
Doing wonderful. Are we ready to start? We're ready to listen.
We made 2,242 calls for the month of December. Average response time 7.8 minutes. We had 55 DOAs for the month, which resulted in 18 autopsies. We billed $1,269,196, collected $544,061, which puts us on a projection of 6.2 million, which is a little bit behind where we were last year, and that's got us checking that out a little bit. Had $418,334 of insurance write-offs, $248,267 of collection agency write-offs, and $1,839 of employee county discounts. The table at the bottom of the page is, we drove a total of 42,058 miles. Maintenance cost was $8,133, and fuel cost was $17,509. We made 632 calls that were out of zone. It was the month of December, so most of our in-service and training and activities were down for the month. We had 6 things in the in-service and training column. MTSU men's and women's basketball games and MTSU graduation for medical coverage. And other than the Christmas parades, we were on the radio one time and had one board meeting for the emergency food and shelter. The SORT team had 8 different activities. The next page is calls broken down by stations and response times and transport times and those kind of things. Following page is number of calls broken down by commissioner districts, as well as national calls on our transport team calls. Transport team had 32 critical transfers and 78 911 calls for a total of 110 calls. Next page is year-to-date, those same figures except on year-to-date. And the next page is the matrix on all the different stations. Salem Road actually had more calls this month than Burton Street, but 35 of their calls was in Burton Street zone. So with Burton Street and MTSU and Salem Road all backing each other up, it just kind of gets to be a kind of a tangled web there sometimes. And then that should work itself into at least a better situation before too often. We have a couple of thank you notes. We had quite a few vacation denials for December, but it is December and Christmas time, so that's not to be overlooked. We actually had 1,164 hours that were turned down, but we gave 1,916.7 hours of vacation and 382 hours of FMLA sick time. And that's it for the report, Mr. Chairman. I do have a budget amendment.
Anybody got any questions on the report?
Roughly, where's Christiana's zone? How big is it?
Bedford County line to just south of the interstate, and it goes over to I can't think of the It's the road that you get to Old Christiana Road if you go off of exit.
Hoover's Gap.
Yeah, it's Hoover's Gap Road.
It covers, okay. Well, what I was wondering is I just saw that it's, in Eagleville's times were, over 10 minutes, I could see Eagleville, but I was just wondering where Christiana
Yeah,
went.
Christiana's got a pretty big zone. Anytime you have a rural ambulance, the times are gonna go up, the response times go up. The secret to response times, I'm convinced, is smaller zones.
Mhm.
Burton Street is the smallest zone we have, but it is also the busiest zone we have, but it consistently has the best response times.
Question I got, you got some ambulances in your budget this year, y'all, are they on order or?
They're here, supposed to be inspected this week, and will go online the first of next month.
Good deal, that's some good news. I get, and ambulance unit 61, the one with 218,000 miles, I guess that's one that's gonna get taken. Okay, Randy's nodding to me, so. I was just, that one, I know there's a 250-mile limit, I know we've been debating this for years, and I side with y'all on it, so I just wanna make sure, and that's good news that those ambulances are gonna be put in service.
We have 3 new ones and 1 remount, and they have, the only thing that they lack is being inspected. That's supposed to happen this week.
And that's a state that comes in and does that. Right. Anybody else have any questions on the report? If there's no questions on the report, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries, and got an amendment?
And we need to add some money to our account that we write refunds out of. The correct way to do that from an accounting standpoint is you increase the patient charges, and you also increase that account, because that's not, that just simply means that you're doing a good job on your collections if you're collecting more than you basically double collect, and you have to refund somebody.
All right. You've heard the request, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the request.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second, all right, discussion. Hearing or seeing none, call roll.
Commissioner Jeff Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiffany Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Farley.
Yes. Is that it?
Okay,
Thank
you
you.
need a copy?
I'm good.
Fire and rescue. How you doing tonight?
We ran a total of 863 calls for the year of 2013, from January 1st to 31st of December. And they're all broken down, categorized by what the call was. Since the last public safety meeting, we ran a total of 88 calls, and they're listed there with the response times on those calls, which is average around 12 minutes. We did have a call the other day right down from the station on Orchard Park Drive, which was a structure fire. Our response time was 3 minutes on the scene, and I was fortunate to have 13 firefighters on the scene that day, so we were able to get there pretty quick and knock the fire down, keep it from spreading any other structures.
I believe that was a county employee's business
Yes,
too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Next one is the motor vehicle accident report. We had a total of 55 calls. Average response time on those calls was 9.1 minutes.
He said it was an extrication call.
Yeah. Rescue averages.
Or rescue calls.
The next sheet shows the totals for the year, and we did get a report from every department this time. We countywide ran a total of 2,170 calls last year. That was countywide. It's counting all the departments included. Showing over 11,522 training hours. And then, we had an education training class this last Saturday, all day long with the rookie class. We just got through graduating in December. We got all them trained, and we're planning, education classes for Christiana and Fossville departments. They've requested the opportunity to have that training and will maybe start helping us out with rescue calls. Also, starting February 1st, we've signed a contract with Ruff County EMS. We're gonna start running medical calls out of Station 1 and Station 2. We'll be, phased out on, severe calls like maybe a cardiac arrest or anything like that. We have, everybody will have to be medically trained as a medical first responder. I do have a lot of EMTs and paramedics, but they can only operate as a first responder in this program. So we're kinda excited about that.
And that's the volunteer fire department, and actually out here adding more services to the
Well, yeah,
public.
and that's if we have, and of course, it'll be in service as long as I got somebody at the station that can
Right.
keep the truck in service. If nobody's there, then it won't be in service.
I just wanted to, I know we all know that, but I want the public to know that these individuals out there volunteers
They're all
are actually
volunteers.
adding more services to the public out there that, on a volunteer basis.
Of course, we'll be there to help EMS transport the patient, load the patient, anything they need to help, we can provide that assistance to them.
And it's also going back to, that's those rescue calls. That's 4 rescue trucks throughout the county with volunteer staff in them as well too, right?
Yeah, the rescue is covered by two of our stations. Kittrell's provides rescue truck at their station. Walt Hill's got a rescue truck at their station. Amble has a rescue truck at their station. They're all county-owned vehicles, and they run under the county program as far as running rescue. The next report is what we turn into the codes department that's had structural damage by fire. And they're listed there by department.
The Rucker Lane, it says that the rescue, county rescue went to it,
Which one are you looking at?
structure fire.
Under the,
The one that's got the list of the structure fires.
right here?
No. Well, mine doesn't look like that.
This one right here.
Yeah,
Which
that
one?
one, Rutherford County
The one
structure
you're
fire.
talking about,
okay.
the one you're code department.
Okay.
This one. And is that, Rucker Lane, not much of it's in the county, is it? And
That's it.
and is that?
Some of it is,
Yeah.
some of it's in the city. Some of those larger subdivisions are in the city.
I live off Rooker Lane, and I'm in the county.
But he's in,
Yeah.
where he's at in the
Okay.
county, so some of it's kind of a touchy thing, some of it's in the city, some of it's in the county, a lot of times when it's phased out, the city and county show up at the same time.
Okay.
Well, since you brought that up, that call right there, that's not far from my house. They made a good stop and a save on that fire right there. It had the potential.
I think the
That's
city
bad.
responded
The
to
city
that
was
fire.
on, city and county was on that call, ladder 9,
Okay.
out of the city was on that call, so we had a truck on
It's,
that.
it's right there at the,
It's the same way.
I thought that some of that, most of that now was in the city after the lawsuit, wasn't it?
it's not,
That's still in the county.
yeah. It hadn't been, that lawsuit hadn't been settled yet.
We,
Okay.
with the
Longer than 1 hour,
annexation,
then, isn't it?
with the annexation of some of the things the city's taken over, a lot of times the city and county gets called to the same calls. And, we haven't had any problems working with the city, and they had a big fire over at the battlefield that called us waiting for mutual aid, and we were really equipped better to handle it than they were, because we have brush units that can get out there and stop it, so we work well together.
Had a big house fire on actual Franklin Road that was on the big 5-lane part, but the house was actually in the county.
And the city
City
was
and
there,
county,
we
yeah.
called in for mutual aid, and they showed up with a ladder truck. Of course, the next report is the same report I showed you last month showing you the breakdown of what we spent on each truck and the cost of that. And the reason I wanna show you that is because we have $80,000 in our budget, maintenance budget. We've spent 74,000 of that. So, I'll be requesting a budget amendment tonight to put more money in my vehicle maintenance.
One thing I hope to see with that, just looking at 102 right there, that 20,821, that's 10% of what a new truck costs in 1 year that we're gonna spend on. And I guarantee you, if we look at the numbers since the department's been started, we could have paid for a new truck and what we paid on maintenance on
Well,
that vehicle
that-
alone.
That truck's actually got close to 100,000 miles on it, which is a lot for
Yeah.
a fire unit.
And we need to, and I'm just bringing that up because the next few months are gonna be budget time and you're gonna be the last one to get to eat. Every
Well,
other
we,
department's gonna get before you.
We have put in
It's
a.
just the way it's been
We
since.
put in an AFG grant this year for a fire apparatus, so hopefully we'll be blessed enough to receive that. Anyway, that concludes my report unless there's any questions.
Is there any questions on his report? If there's no questions on his report, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
I'm requesting, to move $5,000 out of 451 uniforms and $4,000 out of 719 office equipment into the, line item 338 for repair of vehicles.
The $9,000,
Mhm.
and you got five left, right?
Seven.
Six.
6,
6,000 left, 74 out of 80.
yeah, well, yeah. Then hopefully, I don't know, but I'm hoping that's carry me to July.
Is there any questions, or,
I'll make a motion to approve his request.
we got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All right, discussion.
I don't think it's gonna be enough. I'm not, there's just, I don't like it, but I just don't think there's gonna be enough money at the end of the day to get you to July. I'm being a
Well,
realist.
That's, it's, my budget's pretty tight, so I don't know, we'll have to look at pulling it somewhere else, but I don't know where we're gonna pull it from.
We should have been replacing vehicles, like I said, and we wouldn't, and it's not your fault, it's our fault for not appropriating it on the front end. I just wanna reiterate that, cause folks are gonna vote to say no, 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 and this is what comes of, this is what we face when it happens.
Is there a motion out here?
I thought it was already motioned and approved.
I'm not talking about that.
Well, no, that's not time for that, that's in a
Okay.
couple
All right.
months, the mayor might get
I'm
mad.
just, you know,
If we don't talk about it
I'm gonna
first.
keep do everything I can to keep them, fixed and operating and on the road as best I can with what I've got to work with.
There's no option but for them to run. I mean, that's that it's an emergency piece of equipment, and that's what we've gotta make everybody realize, So,
All right, we got a motion, second on the floor. If there's no other discussion, I don't see any. Call roll.
I will need your copy of the budget amendment.
He's the only one that had one.
Commissioner Jeff Phillips. Commissioner Tiffany Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
yes.
Commissioner Farley.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer had called me and asked me to talk about a program that was out there, and it's called the Yellow Dot Program. It's sponsored by the Tennessee Department of Transportation, and what this is, it's a nationwide program designed to provide crucial medical information to the emergency responders in the event of a vehicle accident. It's geared towards senior citizens, senior drivers, and in the year of 2012, they recorded they had 1,613,749 licensed drivers that are age 55 and older. Nationally, by 2012, there'll be more than 40,000 licensed older drivers. What this is designed to do is the Yellow Dot program was designed to help save time for first responders trying to identify who the injured people are. When you register for this program, you get a yellow sticker that will go on the back glass in the left-hand corner of your vehicle. If you're involved in a motor vehicle accident and you cannot speak or communicate, then when we see that yellow sticker, it will advise the first responders to check the glove compartment of that car, and it will give all the person's medical records and personal information. Of course, if anybody else is a husband and wife, then both those information will be in that glove compartment. What that does, it keeps the EMS and first responders from having to take valuable time of that golden hour they talk about of trying to gather information, find out what prescriptions that they might be on and such as that. It's funded by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And basically that's what it boils down to, is just provide valuable medical information for older drivers who might be on the highway and have a wreck. It's just a more of a tool to get that information in the hands of the medical first responders as quickly as possible. And they're wanting to partner with all the law enforcement, Tennessee Sheriff's Associations, the fire service, THP, and local hospitals. So that's kind of what that boils down to. He called me and asked me to just touch on that and kind of make everybody aware of it.
Well, I think it's something that we, need to look into, because I also ask EMS to see if it's worthwhile, and who else is doing it. I mean, it's all over the country, but the first I ever heard about it was I was at a senior center up in Laverne, and I was handed it and say, hey, what are you doing about this for us? That type thing is what it was, but it could be like, because it used to be the bracelets for the diabetics and all this stuff that people carried, and now
It's
just
a very
something-
valuable tool
Yeah.
for first responders when, in the event.
That may be something that, EMS could promote or.
Larry was the first one I was able to get a hold of, and so that's why I asked him to brief us on it. But he did a good job, and I appreciate that. And it just gives us some awareness tonight as to what it is.
Is there anything else?
So I got something that I wanted to do when Larry's here. And this is, I don't know how many of y'all remember, but back in the first of the year, Laverne had some problems with water up there and freezing and having low pressure, et cetera. And anyhow, the county fire department and Laverne Fire Department got together, and the county fire department loaned them a tanker for a few days. And I received a letter from the city of Laverne, and I just wanted to read it tonight. And, it says, Dear Commissioner Schaefer, I just want to share with you my appreciation to the Rutherford County Fire Department and Fire Chief Larry Farley. The city of Laverne has experienced some issues in regards to our water tanks and the ability to keep them at safe levels. This situation with the water caused us great concerns with the city's ability to fight a major fire should it occur in our area. Chief Farley graciously offered a tanker for us to keep on hand until this matter is brought under control. I wanted to share with you on how the county and the cities are working together to ensure the safety of our citizens. So often people neglect to speak of the positive that goes on around us, and I just want to let you know how much I appreciate the services of the Rutherford County Fire Department and Chief Farley. Best regards, Cena Mosley, Mayor of the City of Laverne. And I just wanted to share that, and it's a great thing when there's times that state law keeps us from being able to work together as much as we'd like to, but there's times that we can, when we can, and it helps us all, because we're all living in the same place.
Well, Chief McCormick called me and expressed concern about their hydrants, and basically in a city municipality, that's the only water source they have. And the pressure was way down because of a leak or a major breakage or whatever, and he wanted to know, could we borrow that tanker? And I said, sure. So I took it, that they come got it and housed it in the fire station, and he said he was tickled to death to have it and was appreciated us letting me use it. But I have a good working relationship with them, Smyrna, Murfreesboro, everybody. It takes all of us to cover the county.
Well, that's like we just talked a while ago about the fire on Ricker Lane with Murfreesboro. You got Murfreesboro and Laverne and Rutherford County Fire, and even probably Smyrna as well. And it works day to day on different calls and stuff. And public safety doesn't have any city limits lines.
Well, that's like I told him. I said, you're still in Rutherford County.
Yeah. Well, I like it better though when it's something like this, we can loan them a truck instead of having a tornado that causes us all to go together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Give a copy of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Next is the EMA report. How you doing, man?
All right, sir. How y'all?
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm experimenting with doing my report a little bit differently and try to make it into
four basic groups: mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery, mainly because that's your four major parts of emergency management. Typically, what you'll see on this report is probably very little with mitigation, if anything at all, and recovery unless we have a large event. Under preparedness for the past month, of course, we've attended a lot of meetings, not only with the Homeland Security District and other agencies. We've also conducted some training. We did a hazmat awareness class on December 19th, which is the starting point for any hazardous materials training that has to be conducted for any individual. Then the big event was we conducted a 5-day hazmat operations class at Laverne Fire Station number 3. They were gracious enough to host it. We had team instructors there. It was a really good class, and I know Commissioner Farley, you're probably familiar with this, but it's under the new hazmat materials operations rather than BCCI.
Right.
You actually go into level A's in this class, which is I believe a change.
Yeah.
So, and it was interesting. So, but that was successful.
Well, you got your awareness, you got your operations, and you got your tech.
Tech. And right now, for the county, we don't have a tech scheduled. I was talking to TEMA today because that's a 2-week course. That requires a lot of assets. We're looking at trying to do something in September. But there's also an HMTO instructor course that's coming up, I think, in the next week or so. And there's a few people from the Murfreesboro Fire Department. I think a couple of them are going to that. So we'll have more instructors. And that's the thing about doing some of these hazmat classes, especially when you get to operations and tech, is it's so equipment and instructor intensive. You can't just depend on TEMA to provide all the instructors. You got to come
Right.
up with some yourself. So if you don't stay on top of the instructor side of the house, like as the follow-up to the HMO class, we also went to a 2-day HMO handoff class, which is what you have to do to instruct. And now I'm qualified for HMO as well. Of course, I need to start teaching it. So,
Yeah.
but so we'll go through that. So it's a very involved thing. And the thing is, you can't really take your eye off the bubble on that one because when you get behind, you lose certifications,
Mhm.
and it's hard to get them back. So
Right,
not hard to get them back, just time consuming.
right.
But the other part of this, under preparedness, that was the biggest event under preparedness. Under response, we were asked to come on scene 5 times during the last month. 4 of those were diesel spills, fuel spills, where we had to come out and do some follow-up. And the other one was, you probably already know about the medical helicopter that had the hard landing back on the 17th of December. Basically, the pilot had a medical emergency himself. So they had a hard landing. No one was hurt other than the pilot who had his emergency. And within a couple hours, they got him out there. Our involvement was to make sure the FAA was notified.
Basically, all you're all doing is just coordinating with different agencies.
Yes, yes. In this case, we're just making certain that everybody's made the calls they're supposed to make.
Right.
In regards to training, could you look into seeing about hosting a hazardous materials chemistry course? My personal opinion in hazmat is we've only looked at the tech level, and our guys, emergency responders, they stop there and nobody goes above and beyond. And I've gone to the next level, and it's kind of like being a paramedic in hazmat. Well, we've only got a bunch of EMTs in hazmat, the hazmat techs, and we need to take it to the next level.
Understand?
Nobody's hosted a course like that in a long time.
I'll
Be
certainly look
good.
into it. I'll look into it and I'll get back to you let you know what I find out. But that concludes my report. I have a couple of budget amendments I'd like to discuss.
All right, is there anybody any questions on his report? And if there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion whenever y'all are ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
Got a motion to approve the report, is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Your budget amendment.
Yes, it was brought to my attention that the $5,000 that was set aside last year to pay the electric bills at our towers, we've spent $4,672.26. And that's for the first 7 months. To get through the next 5 months, I extrapolated that we'll need another $3,337.35. What you see on the budget, I want to pull $1,000 from 4 different lines. Line 196, which is in-service training, 355, which is travel, 411, which is data processing supplies, and 429, which is instructional supplies and materials. Pull 1,000 from those four and put that 4,000 into 415 for electricity, so that we can cover the bills until the end of the month, and do a lot better job next year about estimating the cost, which will be a moving target as we bring more towers online, but we'll do a better job at estimating that.
All right, you've heard the request, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Our discussion?
Yeah, good question is, this, different times of year aren't gonna matter. From that standpoint on the towers, right? It's, cause they're not manned or anything. are
No,
they?
no, but, you know, it's not about different times of year, but as we go through the tower project,
Do you get
we're
more?
gonna add more, we're gonna add more towers, so, like I said, I will have to do a better job of estimating what the
Well,
usage will be.
what I'm getting at is you should be about the same every month, roughly. I mean, okay, this year, it should be July and December should be about the same, correct? On electric use.
Yes, sir, unless you have extreme weather, which we have had some.
Okay, well, how does that affect you is what I'm getting at.
Well, because, you know, just because we have to keep those, the electronic components inside the building
Something,
heated and cooled
Okay.
as needed, and if it's colder, I mean, those aren't the best insulated buildings in the world. And we still do have people going in and out of them all the time. So, like I said, I think we can do a better job next year, or rather this budget year, about estimating what our costs will be, because I agree with you, it should not vary that much month to month. We should be able to pin it down pretty close. However, my warning on that is, as we bring more towers on,
Yeah.
it will become a moving target.
Mhm. Okay.
Is there any more questions? Call roll.
Commissioner Jeff Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Tiffany Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Farley.
Yes. Anything else here?
Yes, the other one is also concerning, well, that one's indirectly concerning tower project. This one directly is concerning tower project. I'm here to request $200,000 to complete the tower communications project. There's some documents that you have in front of you that should have been in the packet, which one is the spreadsheet that shows what we still need on each site to complete the project, and that total is up to $384,652. However, we're only asking for $200,000 because, as I'm told by the mayor, there was already $200,000 set aside to help complete the project. If you'll look at some of the notes by Mr. Gurley, who's been managing this project quite well from the beginning and squeezing every dime that he can, out of the 2.1 or almost $2.2 million that's been received to work on this project, only 100,000 of that has come from the county coffers. The others is from 4 different grants that we've received to complete it. But even that amount of money is still not enough. So that's why we're asking for the additional funds. If you have any questions, I can answer those.
So basically, out of this $1.2 million that's already been spent, there's only gonna be roughly $300,000 that the county has actually put up for this.
Out of the 2.1, almost 2.2 million,
I mean, 2.2
we
million.
need another 400,000.
Okay.
Okay, so, it's a $2.6 million worth of total cost. And we're gonna have $500,000 of county money, 100,000 from EMS, and 400 from county general. So, 80% of the money for this tower project, this communications improvement, has come from other sources, grants, et cetera, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's astounding, and what we're gonna get out of this is, again, remarkable, the improvement.
And it basically comes down to a life safety issue for public safety.
Yes, it is.
For these first responders that are out here fighting fire, pulling people over on the side of the road, and law enforcement, and our paramedics out here.
You have places in this county where you don't have mobile comms. Now,
There
I'm
are
not
some
I'm
dead
not talking about the
spots.
radio, I'm talking about in the vehicle. There's places where if you send a deputy sheriff, he can't talk.
Right.
That's completely dangerous.
And we've actually got a tower that we didn't even plan on in the beginning of this, and we now have access to this tower on Hudson Road that,
Right.
we're gonna be putting equipment on as well, so is continuing to improve the whole coverage substantially.
From where our system was at before to what it is today, to what it's gonna be in the future, this is a small price to pay, in my opinion.
It's pretty remarkable we've been able to do that for this
Right.
few of dollars for this, out of county funds.
I've been a user of this system right here, the current system since 2000. It is long overdue to do this. So,
We won't get all this stuff up this fiscal year, but we need to get purchase orders in this fiscal year, because some of the equipment is on some, state contracts.
On the
that wanna be
GSA
renewed,
schedule.
So we wanna anticipate some increases in
Right.
cost, and we wanna go ahead and manage to get those purchased.
But somebody refresh my memory, and I think this actually kinda started about 10 years ago. Plans coming, you know, discussions, and then started getting more in depth of it, I think, what,
Well, we
after that?
started in 2009.
Right.
When we started our little journey here. It may have been.
But discussions started back
Discussions, I'm
a long
sure,
time
going
ago.
on long before that, but we've been on this project,
Right.
going into our 5th year.
But I
It's
think
gonna
this-
be mostly installed by the end of this fiscal year.
I think Mr. Gurley was on a committee that we put together years ago, before he ever came to work for the county.
Yeah, he was, and along with 3 other people that
Yeah.
are volunteers.
So,
But, you know, and let me tell you, just from my own short personal experience of watching Joe work through this project, Joe doesn't let things slip by. If we buy something, it's because we need it, and it's the best price he can squeeze out of somebody. He doesn't just take a price flippantly and just go install. So, and if I remember correctly, the original estimate to complete this project, when y'all started this way back when, was around 5 million. And you're doing it for about half that.
well,
I've got 2 questions. Is Hudson Road, is it off the old Nashville Highway?
no, it's off 26, it's off of Panther Creek Road and off of Whitish
Okay.
Road.
There's a Hudson, I think.
We got a
Oh, wait.
300-foot tower there, Mr. Shaver, that's gonna really help, even back down to your area potentially.
Okay.
yeah.
The other question is it gonna, you said, 100,000 from EMS and, 400,000 from the general fund, is there a possibility that the, debt fund, the capital improvements fund's gonna do better than anticipated this year, that some come from that instead of the
Well,
unassigned?
we're taking this 200 out of the, restricted for capital, which is that's the fund you're talking about.
Okay.
That's where she's made this amendment.
Okay,
The other 200 came out of county general, and the 100 came out of the EMS funds previously. That was the matching fund for the AFG grant.
okay.
We used to see that every now and then. Could you, at the next meeting, could you possibly get us a copy of the capital improvements for
There's
public
the
safety?
report to capital, yeah,
Yeah.
we have that. The finance department does that every month. Here, you can have a copy of
I
that.
think she said.
I
they
have
sent
some-
him an
She used to give it to us on
They sent him
where we could
an
see it when
email
we
about
talked
2
about it.
months ago that had it on there, what the things were for.
But the budget committee gets it.
We get it
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time.
But I don't think.
Because we used to have some capital
I'll-
projects going on,
We
but
can-
maybe it's property
Copy that on
management, I
your-
saw that.
That's
at your
property
commission
management.
table, we can have one next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm sorry.
Is there anybody else discussion on this?
Really what we're asking for tonight is for $200,000 in new money.
Because we had to put in $200,000 of our money for cash flow purposes, because we have to, on these grants, we get reimbursed, so we have to pay for stuff. So we've already put the 200 in back over a year ago. So we just need to finish this up with 200 more.
And that finishing up is the new money, and that's coming from this restricted for capital fund, okay?
Yes, sir. Development tax monies.
Okay. And this has, in essence, your blessing and approval and recommendation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All right. Any more discussion? Hearing or seeing none, call roll.
Commissioner Jeff Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Tiffany Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Farley.
Yes. All right, anything else?
I have nothing else. I appreciate y'all's
All
time.
right, thank you. All right, next is the Correctional Work Center report.
I'm on my own.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I do, thank you. How you feeling?
Oh, that's okay.
Good. Getting better. All right. First, we have the minutes from our last board meeting. Discussed expenditures and budget amendment. We actually did that back in December. Put into a line 336 maintenance and repair of equipment. Just to keep, we had some boilers and some chiller issues, but the boiler was the main target on us, making sure we had enough money to last us through the end of the fiscal year with that. Also discussed the retirement of one of our employees, a longtime employee, Ms. Charlotte Bullington. She was a really great employee and we'll miss her. So just discuss that with the board. And we had 2 vacancies at the time. And they were filled with current employees. Names are listed there.
Also glad to see that, the board unanimously reappointed you back to as superintendent.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's a smart move on the board's behalf.
I was very grateful for it, to say the least. And we added another employee to the work release program, so that makes, I think we have 5 or 6 current businesses in town that are willing to put these current inmates at work and pay them, so that was great. And next is the yearly activity report. This is actually reflecting the work release program. December we had 11 in the program, and those are the fees we collected. And then notes reflects how many got hired. We got one at Presco Tech got hired after he was released from us. And one at Swanson. So we had a couple of inmates actually stayed on, gainfully employed with his businesses after they were released also. So it's a great program, it's still progressing. Hopefully we'll get more employees since it's early in the year, so at the remainder of the year some others will join in. It's been going on great.
And that program you got 11 now and you can have up to.
64.
So that's
Yes, steadily progress, and especially with the economy, I'm really proud that the guys are doing a good job with that program. Sergeant Peralta's doing really good. State little pickup, so collected from the state, $3,360.11. That's for this month. And then the activity report reflects the daily census. December we had 4,404. Average count of 142. We dipped some, pretty much due to attrition. The Sheriff's Department had a lot of releases also to the state, which it's a ripple effect, so some of our intakes kind of slow down a little bit based on them using some of those inmates to do some chores over there as trustees. So, but it's picking up, so it's just part of this time of year, sometimes, census goes down, so it'll pick up again, I'm sure, in the spring and summer, which is, I don't know, bad or good thing. You see the work details, they're going great, give you the numbers and how much of that is saving the county overall and even the town of Smyrna. The GED program is steadily going. Just wanted to let y'all know that they're changing the name of that GED program to the HiSET program, and one of the things I noticed is that the cost of actually taking the test is doubled from what it was last year, to $125. It was $65. The way that normally works, once the inmate is prepared and he's ready to take that test, his family could pay. If not, we've never had an inmate that wasn't allowed to take it because we have nonprofits will step up and pay the fees. So it's just that it's a whole new format. It's not just the state of Tennessee; it's a national format that they changed it to. So they are learning. So as they learn, they will, as far as the Department of Education, will learn more about the new curriculum. Supposedly the curriculum stays the same. It's just they tweaked the name of it. And other than that, everything else.
Keep up with the times.
Exactly.
Incident reports, this report's about average. The monthly worker report, like I was saying, for December, total combined using inmate labor saved the county $120,704. That's why my report concludes that, and then the rest is amendments.
Is there any questions on his report?
Let me ask a question that's probably obvious and maybe can show my ignorance, but the litter pickup, like it's $3,300
Yes.
for the month in question in January or February or December, whenever it was, but do we budget that money every year? Is that income coming into the county and?
That's coming in. We get paid by the state to do that.
Okay, do we budget it as income? Is it in our budget? Doug, do you know?
It's
No.
probably put in the budget as a revenue source through that department.
Right.
It's probably where it goes in, probably into the general fund or certain.
Right.
Yeah,
It
that's
goes
where
back
they
to the
put them
general
in.
fund.
Same thing, the sheriff's stuff
Yeah.
goes in there a lot too.
So we
but,
budget it as income and it goes into the
Yeah.
general fund?
I'm assuming, I don't know that for sure, I'd have to, you have to ask, but that's where it would go, and that's where it should go.
It's just like when the state pays for state inmates,
Mhm.
that money
Yeah.
per day, per inmate, all that's a revenue source, and it comes into
Back in the general fund.
into the general fund revenue.
It was something to do with solid waste, though. I don't know if it's in y'all's budget or solid waste where the money.
As far as the grant?
Yeah.
Well, it's on a grant system. And then basically, they just using the correctional workers as inmates to do it through that grant.
Right. But it's actually a revenue source that comes in, and it's set up as far as counting as a revenue source
Right.
through our budget.
And we can go clean up more roads than what the grant allows. We're only gonna get paid X amount of dollars,
Yeah.
whatever the
Right.
grant.
So you
Right,
know
it's
what's gonna
exactly.
come in during
It's
the
an
year.
allotted amount each year.
Right.
Well, that was just my question. If it's income, are we budgeting that income and where does that income go? I just don't want it to disappear, so I just wanted to know. where
I hope we
it
didn't
went.
confuse you anymore than we're already confused, so.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other questions on his report? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
I'll move
Okay.
to approve the report.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. I thought we had a motion, I got ahead of myself. All right, budget transfer.
The amendments I'm requesting, the first one is from line item 399, other contracted services. Requesting to take 5,000 from that and put it into 335, maintenance and repair of the building. Just to make sure we have enough to last us through the fiscal year, when things come up. And the second one is, we're requesting 1,000 from line 410 custodial supplies into the maintenance of vehicles. Same thing, just to make sure we have enough to maintain the vehicles to the end of the fiscal year. The last item, this one was a last minute thing because of our DVR system, which was outdated when we first got it, but neither here nor there, it crashed on us last, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. And we have the current vendor we're using, can repair it, but they said that only if they can find, because it's so outdated, if they could even do it. So we asked them what would it cost to just get us a whole new system and get it updated and running, and that's what they came back with, a much better quote than I thought they would, and that's why now we're requesting to move $18,025 from unassigned funds to the line 790.
And that DVR is used for security purposes.
Yes, it helps in lawsuits.
Right.
Big time.
Does that have to be bid?
I beg your pardon?
Does that have to be bid?
No, because that's a current vendor of ours. We also have a service contract with this vendor.
You want to
They
add
were
to
a
it?
sub on the, they were a sub for the construction of the building, and it's a pretty proprietary, system. But they were definitely bid out as a sub in the original purchase.
All right, you've heard the request of the superintendent. Is there a motion?
This is the question on the $1,000 for vehicles. What vehicle? What vehicles are we repairing? What vehicles? I'm just,
We have 3 transport vehicles and 4 transport vehicles. And just in case we have, like one vehicle in particular, we had a transmission issue, and that's what caused the cost of that.
and they're to transport inmates to court dates and things like that.
Court dates, work assignments.
Okay. And then the $5,000, what kind of building issue do you have?
Like I said, the boiler was one of them.
Okay. Enough said, I've heard enough about boilers.
Yeah, that's already been spent. Right.
Yeah, some of it is already been repaired.
And this is just to get, because
To
it
make
took
sure.
all of it, just
Right,
about.
Exactly.
All right. Anybody else? Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion? Don't see any, call roll.
Commissioner Jeff Phillips. Commissioner Tiffany Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Farley.
Yes. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Next, OSHA.
The DVR system's gonna have to be explained at the commission now when it goes through, I'm sure. You know.
That should be a no-brainer right
Hey,
there.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
As long as we're not talking about
Yeah.
boilers, Commissioner.
Good evening.
Good evening, how you doing?
Well, thank you. What I'd like to do is present for December and then give a recap for the year, because as you know, OSHA is done on a calendar year and not the physical year, so just kind of touch on that. For the month of December, we had a total of 11 injuries requiring medical attention. That brought us to a total of 183 for the year. As far as recordable, that brought that total to 122. 76 of those injuries were restricted days, 23 had lost days. For the month of December, out of the 11 injuries that we had, the total dollar amount for those were $24,091 for the total, and 8 of those were with the Board of Education, as you can see on that report, and they had 22,541. Their biggest injury there being struck or injured by with the Board of Education. The second biggest was with the slip, trips, and falls that brought in for the Board of Education. The county general had the remaining of the 11 injuries with 3 of them, and they were all struck or injured by. And if you look on the last page of the December report, you'll notice that 2 of those were with the Sheriff's Department and 1 was with Paul's. When you look at the next page, you'll see the graph for the this past year plus the 2 previous years, and just to kind of put it in perspective, you'll notice there out to the right-hand side, in 2011 we had a total of 239 injuries. In 2012 we had a total of 208 injuries, and then in 2013 the 183. Now that's obviously what we're talking about, the ones requiring medical attention. So you can see that. Now again, it's difficult to see sometimes when you look at the graph as it goes up and down, but that's why I put those numbers out there to kind of help you through that. Looking now for the year, the Board of Education. Board of Education, you can see there, had a total of 114 injuries. Their biggest ones, slip, trips, and falls, strains, and struck by were the 3 top ones for the Board of Education. The total dollars incurred for those were $170,515,000. those are not matured yet. They still could go up a little bit or come down a little bit as far as that's concerned.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Since we've had so many strains and stuff like that, what is the plan to be able to prevent that in the future?
Yes, sir. Dwayne Hawkins in our office does monthly inspection to the schools. He hits at least 3 schools every month and sometimes more, going by doing safety inspections, talking to the custodians and the food service people, which is where usually the strains and things like that, and inspecting, talking to them. Also, big time occurs, we've had past experiences during the summers when they do the mopping of and waxing of the floors and preparing for the next school year. That's when we've gotten a lot. We've really hit hard on that in the summer. In the last couple of years, we've had very good results. So we're continuing with that monthly inspection of the schools, trying to get around through them. And unfortunately, with the number of schools and the people that we have, we're only able to get by 1 to 2 times a year to every school. But our goal is to make it through the school.
Does each school or each department or whatever have a safety officer type where they can actually do this on a monthly basis, where instead of doing it maybe once a year?
Each school does in fact have a safety team. Usually it's part of another team with the safety in that at the school that they're responsible for. And then in addition to that, when you get into the county also has safety people from that. Yes, sir. And then it's just a matter, again, as we go through it, is to keep that up front and keep that safety in mind. Unfortunately, one of the big things that happens in the schools, and if you're ever an instructor or something like that, you know, as you're trying to teach, you're walking around a classroom, you're trying to talk to the students and do that, and then unfortunately, students you think would keep a nice orderly work area, it doesn't. They have their bags sticking out in the hallways or in the aisle, and you walk through, you trip over those things.
I understand.
Kids
Accidents are going to happen.
Absolutely. And as we have more students in the schools, then you have more students that, you know, you try and control them. They'll run down the hallways and things, knock people down, things like that. And it's a hard job for the principals and the instructors to teachers to be able to maintain control and yet still keep things like this. Unfortunately, slip, trips, and falls, a lot of them also happens in the cafeterias, making sure that they clean up the cafeteria, get the water up off the floor, and things like that. But it's a goal that we can obtain. It's just we have to keep after it and keep chasing it. And again, it's very evident when you look at the results over the last 2 years.
You know, the program's working because it's down from 239 and 11 to 183 and 13. So
Yes, sir.
It's working.
And we have more employees too.
Yeah.
Yes,
So when you
exactly.
factor that in, that's even bigger.
And I like to contribute that, like I said, Dwayne Hawkins going out to the schools every month, continuing to do that, meeting those people and things.
Well,
helps
not
a
only
lot.
that, contribute to the county employees are actually out here looking themselves and trying to be safe. You know, it's cooperative
Oh,
effort
yes,
on
sir.
everybody's part.
Yes, sir. And I mentioned also, you know, we do recognize those schools and county employees. We have a safety award that's given out quarterly to the county general and also to the Board of Education once a semester. If you look at the county safety, I want to say,
Newsletter?
yeah, thank you. Newsletter comes out. We recognize those individuals in the newsletter, put pictures of them and the schools or the county location, and recognize their contributions to safety also. So, a number of ongoing things we're doing to try and reduce that down over the last couple of years. Thank you for your. On the county general, the next page, if you look at that, after the Board of Education, you'll notice that it makes up 2 pages, but the county general had 69 injuries for the year as a whole. It's very evident. The very first thing you look at on that is going to be struck or injured by with a high of 24, and strains being the second one of 14. So as far as the number of injuries, now of course we can have 1 or 2 injuries that, because of just the nature of it, can push up the dollars incurred. But if you go back over another page or 2 in your report, I summarized the county for you by department. And when you go to that and you see the 68 injuries and you come across, and the very first one that hits you, the sheriff department, the nature of the injuries and things like, had a total of 47 of those 69. And again, you know, dealing with the people that they deal with, bringing them into booking, people, the actions of those people that they
Yeah.
bring in.
It also surprises me that the ambulance service and Paul's are not high, no, there's only 3 and 4 in that. You know, you would figure with the lifting and animals bites and.
Yes, exactly. And I sometimes wonder if not, those shouldn't be a little bit higher than what they are, maybe, you know, making sure that we get the reporting in, okay? And there may be some of those that were reported that did not require medical attention, they just reported them again. These are the ones that required medical attention, that we did. But it's, you know, we've asked in the past, where do those injuries occur at? We do know where they occur, and it's very obvious that why they occur in those departments, I think. And then the last, or next to last page of your report, we addressed the total dollars that's been incurred. 2011, we were talking about $516,000. That's pretty much closed out. That's solid. 2002 was $567,000. Again, that one's pretty much secured. Those are over a year old. 2013 we're at $314,000, down quite a bit. A couple of things: either all the dollars have not been incurred there because the claims are still open, but in addition to that, maybe the severity of the claims are not where they were in past years, and because they're not as severe, not requiring as much medical attention. So those are several things that's going on this year. I kind of reserve that just simply because until those claims are closed out, and it takes about a year, it's really hard to know where those claims are going to end up at. And I still have a couple claims that may be surgical claims or something like that that still need to be closed out. So it may go up quite a bit yet before it's done. The last page of your report. Every year, come February 1st, OSHA requires us to post the OSHA 300A log in every county building, and I've provided you a copy of that here with all the injuries and the data that be on that. You notice it does have the mayor's signature that was dated on January the 10th. That was provided to the county safety committee at the last meeting here just last week, and we want to make sure that this gets posted in every building. If you're in a building and you're looking at the bulletin board and you don't see a copy, please give me a call. I'd like to make sure we get those posted. We do send it out by email to all the contacts we have for the safety in all the schools and in the county buildings, but sometimes it does fail to get posted. So if you notice something or haven't seen it, give me a call. We'd like to follow up on that. And that gives us reason, again, for Dwayne, who's going out and visiting all these places. He's looking for that also. But it's got to be posted between February the 1st and April 30th. And anytime OSHA goes in any building, they will look for that also in the county building. So appreciate it if you could, if you see anything like that, pass it on. If you don't see it, rather.
Any questions? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the report.
Got a motion to approve the report. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Next, juvenile detention. How you doing?
I'm great. All right, in front of you, you should have our monthly report for December. And I will happily answer any questions about that. I don't see anything in there that is particularly alarming. I've also included our facility programming and the breakdown by agency and charges, and then the breakdown of the counties that contract with us and those charges.
Is there any questions?
Motion to approve the report.
Got a motion, is there a second? And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, and I think you got a budget amendment.
I do have a budget amendment. We have had several vacancies this year, and I would like to move some extra money that I had in my 110, which is for a lieutenant position. A little extra there. I'd like to move into our overtime line item, and then the 4,650 is just to correct some of the smaller line items where we're going to be losing a full-time employee with quite a bit of time built up. We want to be able to have our line items corrected for that reason.
The long-time employee, what type of work are they going into?
He's moving to Florida to be with his family.
Okay.
So,
I just wondered if we lost him for another reason.
nope, he's great, shows up every night, never takes off, and now he's moving to Florida, and it's time to pay him what he's owed.
All this money's internal to your department.
Yes, this is no new money, this is all within my current budget.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All right, discussion. Hearing or seeing none, call roll.
Commissioner Jeff Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Tiffany Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Farley.
Yes. Is that it?
That is it.
Thank
You moving to fill those positions that are,
I currently have a part-time male position that we just closed applications on and are setting up interviews, and then I have a full-time female position that is still open and doesn't close for a couple more days.
that when
Those are
when those-
entry-level detention officers.
When they come aboard, you're gonna have enough money
Oh, yes,
in to
yes.
pay those folks, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, is there any other business come before the committee? Hearing and seeing none, something I guess probably, just wanna remind everybody, I guess February, we're probably gonna be, at some point, looking at budgets coming up for, getting ready for the departments. And I don't know what the dates were. Last year, I think we had one separate meeting in March, or I think the regular meeting in March for the sheriff's department budget. And I believe, if memory serves me, we had to have two meetings, a regular meeting and a separate meeting to split up everybody's budget last year.
What do you mean by regular meeting? Didn't we take some of the reports with their
Right.
with their budget,
We-
but not all departments present a budget, so seems like we did those one night.
Yeah.
I think we did it over 2 months at regular meetings.
Is that what it
I think
was?
we did. I think
We
that's
did?
what we did.
Okay.
We did a
remember.
consent agenda.
Huh?
No,
Yeah, we
because
had like half of
We
them
waited on
annual,
the sheriff's
and
budget
we don't need a
until he
special
could
call meeting
potentially
for
work it
this.
out with the mayor, so he was one of the last ones.
Right.
But he
I-
was
I
by
know-
himself.
I know the sheriff, we had, at a regular meeting, we had his stuff. And
We did all the rest of them.
we did all the rest of them? Okay.
Seems like we did do it over 2 months.
We did.
Yeah.
And we've done
Okay.
it a couple of different
We
ways.
did,
over
I
the
think
last-
we did half of them 1 month with their report, and the other ones just gave their report, and then the next month we did the other half with their report.
Okay. So what, I guess,
Ask Vicky to look into it.
ask Vicky to look into it and kinda split up the agenda for, our February meeting on, at our regular meeting. Some of the ones that kinda split up where it's not gonna be a big budget, you know, a bunch of big budgets, and maybe split up a
Yeah.
big budget versus a
Want me to
small.
have her look and see what she did last
Yeah,
year?
and that way we can kinda start preparing for the budget process.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad last year, I didn't think.
Nah, 'cause I think the mayor had a lot of it worked out,
Yeah.
best I can remember. I've slept since last year, so I don't remember what all.
I'll get with Vicky.
Okay.
We've done it a couple different ways over the years too, so
Yeah.
that's what's confusing to.
Well, I think there was some years that
The one out there was a
it was
mess.
pretty big and, but I think the mayor's worked on a couple of them that kinda narrowed it down, and it went pretty smooth on some of them, so, on a lot of them. So, if you'll ask Vicky to look into that way we can kinda prepare for the budget stuff, okay. Is anything else?
I've been here all morning.
Have you?
We stand adjourned, thank y'all.